We're looking at your new AccuMaster Direct Draw 2-line filling machine, and we're going to make this real short video just to cover some of the basic operations of the machine, and then some of the few specific items that you might not notice right away. So I guess we'll start here is where you connect your air supply. This machine runs on air completely. There's no need for electrical power, so you put your air in. This is an on-off valve. In this position, the machine is connected to the air supply. If you push down and turn this, the air supply is cut off, and it relieves the air pressure from the rest of the machine. So that's nice to have if you're making adjustments. Matter of fact, if you're adjusting the quantity, you want to turn the air off typically. You would turn that valve, and then you can adjust your quantities here. Since I'm here, I'll talk about the micro adjustment. Okay, now we're looking at the back of the machine. This is where your micro adjustment indicators are. As you can see, one rotation of the dial moves the red indicator one space, and 10 will move the black indicator one space. So you can, it's pretty much self-explanatory. You can see as we're dialing in the indicator is showing less. Now, one thing that these particular indicators have a range of 3 inches, so they reset after 30. You can see what the dial goes around. The black dial goes around to 30 positions, which is 3 inches. So every 3 inches they'll more or less reset to 0. So then, if let's say you're taking a stroke of 4.5 inches, you would have your indication would be 15, which is like 30 plus 15, it's 4.5. Okay, since we're here, I'll cover the speed controls of the machine. Now each side operates more or less independently. When you hit the pedal, both sides are told to go, but they do operate independently. Now this speed control or flow control here will adjust the discharge speed. That controls how fast this air cylinder goes forward, which controls how fast the product is dispensed. So if you're coming out too fast, if you're splashing or whatever, crank this clockwise and you'll slow down the filling speed. And the reverse is true. If you crank it counterclockwise, you can speed up the filling speed. This rear control is the speed of the inlet or the intake of the machine. This isn't really as fussy. Typically, you want to come back as fast as you can at whatever your production demands, but you can go fast or slow with this. It's usually not that important. Here at your inlet setup here, this is the product intake to your machine. There's 2 lines connected to this T, which acts as our manifold, and this is a cam lock fitting that I think you're familiar with. This will connect to your tank outlet, and then those tubes go up and connect to either lane of the filler. Okay, this is where your filler intake is. Pretty obvious. Here's the intake tube. This goes to this T. Now, one rather important note that you wouldn't know is these 2 T's, they're engraved on the front. You won't see them probably with the camera, but when you go to clean the machine, you'll see them. It says intake T on the front right here, and this one is A, and then this says intake T, and there's a B. It's not real critical that you keep A here and B here, but what is important is that these T's are the ones that you use for your inlets, not these. These T's go onto the cylinder, and there is a little small engraving on the side of these that says cylinder. Again, I doubt the camera will see it, but like I said, there's an engraving. It says cylinder, and that is the cylinder. So this T goes there. Since while we're here, these heads adjust in and out for depending on your container. I'm not quite sure if you're going to fill with hold the containers under the nozzles or slide them across the table, but there's a lot of flexibility here in how you want to adjust these centers, which is very simple. You can loosen these clamps here, and these will swing in and out as needed. And I would think you're very likely going to just have containers at, you know, diameter to diameter, and then slide them along. So you're going to want to just move these to correlate with the container. Don't forget to tighten things back up. All right, since we're here, I'll show you maybe a cleaning procedure. This is what we call the positive cutoff nozzle, or the filling nozzle. Now I just undid that clamp, and I'll remove this. First I'm going to pull this pin. This comes out. All the wetted parts, this is not a food contact part, so you can put this aside, and but this would be. This is your plunger. Has 2 O-rings for seals. We'll put that back in. There's also a sanitary gasket there. I'll just move that down like that. I'm going to line up this pinhole. Once you do this a time or two, it'll become very second nature to you. But that's that. So like I said, all the wetted parts can be removed fairly easily and clean, whatever your cleanup procedure is. The intake valves, which were down here, as I mentioned before, with those T's. So you can come down below with the camera. They work the same way. They're the same as the nozzles. You can remove this clamp and drop this and take the wetted. This really looks the same as the nozzle, just one size larger. Also, here's your guide rails. It's pretty straightforward. They adjust up and down and in and out with these knobs. I'll just show you quick. That's the up and down, and this is in and out. And that will be adjusted depending on how you're going to use your fill. Some people don't even use this guide rail. They may keep that out of the way, where they're just filling 2 at a time. They might find that better than other people. Just as I was mentioning before, they just slide a row of containers underneath. Whatever you're more comfortable with, it doesn't matter. Okay, and this might be the last thing I need to show you, but this is your height adjustment for the machine. And to accommodate the different container sizes, we're going to raise and lower the whole machine, and the head will come with it. So it's really easy. You just loosen this knob, this locking knob, and this is a jacking screw. You can turn this clockwise or counterclockwise if you want to raise or lower the machine. It's 9/16. We find like either a socket wrench or a speed combination wrench is probably the way to go on that.